The invisible destroyer of health. Now, when I say invisible, it's not something you're not noticing because of your, day-to-day life. No, it's literally invisible and unnoticeable. I am, of course, talking about electromagnetic fields. Now, let's start at kindergarten. Ionizing radiation. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Scientists agree that it is bad, it causes cancer, DNA damage, all the bad stuff. Then we have non-ionizing radiation, and scientists and the FDA and all the health organizations say that it is safe, that there is a lack of evidence that it affects humans in a negative way. Well, contrary to popular belief, i.e., the authorities' belief, I will share objective information that you'll find in the articles I will be linking below. Remember, I always link articles and evidence in the description, so always read the description and click on the links so that you expand. Haha. Expander would have liked that. Oh well. See, inside of you have voltage gated calcium channels, or all your cells have voltage gated calcium channels. Now, a calcium channel controls how much calcium enters and exits the cell. And in this case, activation of the calcium channel will increase the concentration of calcium inside your cell. And the voltage gated part means that it is gated by voltage. So when there's voltage, it will activate. Now, EMF, or an electromagnetic field, is electric potential through a distance, you could say. So an electromagnetic field is, the strength of it is measured by voltage. So what happens if you are exposed to an electromagnetic field? Your voltage-gated calcium channels will fire. And if they fire, calcium concentrations inside of your cells will increase, sometimes 1,000-fold. What will this lead to? Well, you see, you have 5 types of calcium channels. You can click on the Wikipedia link in the description, because these things are very simple, so Wikipedia can be used in this case. You have 5 types of calcium channels, and they control, or they're found in different types of cells. And the things that are, these cells are in different parts of your body, and if you're exposed to EMF to varying degrees, these areas will you'll develop disease in them, and they'll just get hurt. So the problem is, when calcium concentrations increase, nitric oxide increases. And when nitric oxide increases, the formation of free radicals increases. And when free radicals increase, then that's what we call inflammation. And inflammation is the root cause of all disease, you could say. So now that you know all of that about non-ionizing radiation, we can move on to what you should do about it. Because honestly, that's the important part. I give you the science so that you understand what you're doing better. The important thing is the countermeasures. The science is there so that you do the countermeasures, because now you actually know that, okay, it's very clear that non-ionizing radiation is bad. And if it's not clear, then do your own research. I've given you the only 2 links you'll ever need about that. See, EMF is all around you. The device you're holding is blasting you with EMF. So, first of all, if you have a cell phone, which you probably do, try to have it on airplane mode as much as you can. When you go to sleep, keep it far away from you, keep it on airplane mode, because most of you probably use it as an alarm clock. Otherwise, if you don't use an alarm clock, or you don't use your cell phone as an alarm clock, don't even keep your phone in the same room. Have it downstairs, upstairs, I don't know where you sleep. Put it on airplane mode, turn it off. Just do as much as you can to keep it away from you. And of course, for you men, and women actually, if you have your phone turned on with Wi-Fi and mobile signal in your pocket, and it's that close to you, because EMF, things that emit EMF, they depend on distance. The farther the distance, the less the electric potential will be at a certain point. So if it's that close to you, and guys have their balls pretty close to their pocket, your testosterone will take a hit. So that's just something to think about there, guys. And of course, women have their reproductive organs near their pocket. I mean, the distance isn't that far, even though it's, at your leg area. So your risk of cancer will decrease, of course. And if you read that article that I will link about the dangers of EMF, you'll notice that there are a lot of cancer claims there, which are completely logical. Oh well, another thing to know is that there's something called a Faraday cage. So when you have basically a cage made of metal, the sum of all electric potential inside of the cage is zero. So if you had an EMF meter, let's say you had a router, and then you had an EMF meter and a Faraday cage, and you put all of those next to each other, and you had the EMF meter outside of the Faraday cage, and you looked at it, and it spiked really high because it was near the router, and then you put it inside the Faraday cage, then it would be much lower, or maybe even at zero, who knows. Depends on the Faraday cage, I guess, and the router and the EMF meter. But oh well. So people who are very, very, health-centered, I mean, I am, but I don't have the means to get a Faraday cage, but some people build a Faraday cage around the place they sleep so that they don't have to worry about, any EMF when they sleep, because you're spending a considerable amount of time sleeping every day. Oh well, so that's just something to note. And then another thing you could do is buy an EMF meter, because some of you, I don't know, you might be living in a forest and there might be a cell phone tower somewhere that isn't very close to you. But the important thing is, where I am right now, what is the EMF level? If it's low, then congratulations. If it's high, then now you know that. So get an EMF meter to know what the EMF is in your environment. And of course, as I said, keep all electronic devices away from you, because that might sound silly. It might sound silly too. You know what? I didn't mention microwaves. You can conclude just from all of this that I've said, and the links that you'll find below that say the exact same things I'm saying, because it's just objective information, that microwaves aren't very safe. So that's just a thing to note. Again, now you have all this information and you know how to protect yourself. There are two things. One is a super duper tidbit, a golden tidbit, as Bugenhagen would say. The goal is to move out in nature, because that's your most optimal place. Ideally, that's where our ancestors lived. That's where a human is healthy. EMF, it's very, very hard to escape it. So ideally you want to move out to a relatively deserted place, where the EMF is low, where you have no cell phone towers, where you have no, so you can live in peace. And just an example as to why this is the case, or it's a way of identifying with this statement as being true. It's a way of, for your brain to understand what I'm talking about. If you go to a forest, or if you recall the times that you've been in a forest, for those who have forests around them, you'll usually sense that you're much more peaceful in the forest. And that has to do with EMF, of course. The lower the EMF, the more peaceful you're gonna be. And if you can't avoid EMF, and you have to be exposed to it if you're a student in a big city, like me, then one tip I have is that whenever I'm studying and I take a break, what I do is, when I have the opportunity, of course, I go and I earth or ground, as I talked about in the 5 health tips video. It's walking barefoot over grass or just touching nature, so to speak, because um, the grass is negatively charged, and inflammation is basically a positive charge in your body. So when you have contact with the grass when being barefoot, your electric charge goes down, or could even become negative, and that reduces inflammation. And I've found that for some weird reason, all the effects of, the headachy effect of EMF, it goes away when I do that. So if you struggle with EMF, or if you will struggle, because you'll probably be noticing it after watching this video, um, if you earth, then that helps. And with that said, over and out for now.